Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and Zoom is getting the big ban hammer. Now I haven't seen a ban hammer delivered this hard since people broke street date for Halo 3. Now ladies and gentlemen, let me just put it into perspective over here. Now I made a video on Zoom about 2 weeks ago where I covered a lot of their crappy practices regarding end-to-end security, their crappy malware, and the fact that 2Mad was busting into their servers all the time, being him. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot wrong with Zoom right now. All right, like a lot going wrong. Now, ever since I made that video, Zoom proudly has created a bug bounty, and they've definitely said, all right, get ready. They've had some missteps and they're gonna get better. Now, I'm totally okay with a company that goes out of the way and says, yeah, we'll get better as time goes on. We talked about Valorant earlier, and Valorant actually came out and really implemented a more intensive bug bounty program for their game, and they're committing to user privacy, which is something you want to bring out. Will that make me install their game necessarily? Probably not. My firm stance still stays strong. But I'm glad when companies go out of their way to make sure that user privacy is held to a high regard. Because in today's day and age, ladies and gentlemen, Daddy Muta gives a shit about your data, okay? Because data is like the new gold, all right? There was the oil rush, there was the gold rush, there was every kind of rush, the K-pop rush, and now it's all about the data rush. Everyone's vying for that juicy data. And why should you give it to them if you don't have to? That's my point into it. Now, so far, Zoom is getting banned in Singapore for Zoom bombing, where a naked adult male is using racial slurs. How do I feel I don't know that YouTuber in particular? India has decided to get rid of Zoom, but luckily the Zoom company is working with India right now to make sure that they don't have to abandon Zoom. Google outright banned Zoom because you know what? Google's realized that, holy shit, we have a better product on our own hands. Why are our employee bases using something else? They can't even install Zoom on their laptops anymore. Hey, guess what? Even the Taiwanese government, oh, this video just got banned in China, let's be real, and Canada got completely kicked out, and they just told Zoom to go pools closed. We can't use you in government conversations. Now, I don't understand why this is necessarily super newsworthy because none of this should surprise you. Guess what? Governments are not going to trust an application that doesn't provide proper end-to-end encryption for actual government communications. It's because when a government communicates, they're usually communicating about really sensitive shit. So when you have to deal with the world we're in right now, especially with this whole quarantine in effect, no one is willing to talk about all their secretive stuff using a platform that has so many security vulnerabilities. That is a fact. Now, when it comes to a lot of these big tech firms like Google and Microsoft and Apple, you have to understand these companies have their own equivalences to them. No company like Amazon, Google, Apple, or Microsoft or any of these firms are actually going to use software from somebody else when they have plenty of good in-house solutions. Believe it or not, a lot of these services rely on Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, or even Facebook to provide them with the data farm capacity to actually use these applications. So it shouldn't blow you away that those applications cannot be used or those applications cannot be recreated by these firms that are banning them, quote unquote. Now, Zoom is one of the biggest applications right now regarding teleconferencing, and teleconferencing is all the rage. We're stuck at home, boys and girls. We can't do anything except use these applications to get our jobs done, to get our school done, to get whatever done. Now, I wouldn't make this video just to follow up without giving a you can have your cake and eat it too. I think I'm going to add that to all my videos regarding technology is you can have your cake and you can eat it too. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, Zoom has plenty of applications. If you go to their download center, you'll notice they have clients for Linux, all right? They have extensions for browsers. They have mobile applications, which won't really apply to our situation here. But then they have controllers, which is more for somebody who's managing a party. So they have plenty of applications you can try and use. But for the most part, it's definitely done through a browser. Now, the reality of it is normally I would consider most of this safe, but usually browser applications nowadays are probably just as risky as regular applications if you have that level of paranoia in you. Now, I would generally say it's safe for the most part. I think the encryption between you and Zoom is pretty well done. It's usually the encryption they have from Zoom client to Zoom client internally in their server that's the real problem. Now, let's say that you're in a school, all right? I get it. Muta, I'm in school, my professor, my teacher is forcing me to use Zoom. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to show you how you can have your cake and how you can eat it too. Now, a lot of people have called me Paranoid Andy for using a lot of these applications, but VirtualBox is one of those applications you definitely want to use, or VMware Player, or if you're daring like me, you can use QEMU KVM if you're on Linux. But usually I'm going to assume you're on Windows or Macintosh in this case. But yeah, no, you can use something like VirtualBox 6.1 in this case as of today's video. Just download that, follow the instructions, and then you want to definitely make sure you get a Microsoft Windows 10 for your VirtualBox, okay? So all you have to do is go to Windows 10 ISO download on Google, and usually it's this first option that you're looking for. It's called Windows 10 Disk Image ISO file, and then you just select the fact that you want Windows 10, hit confirm, and then all you have to do is make sure you pick English or whatever language you're into these days. I mean, hell, if you want Arabic, go for that. I don't care. It's all up to you. Download the 64-bit client. It's going to be like a 5 gig file, and now we'll get into installing it. So on the VirtualBox screen, I know you can't really tell that easily because I have a really crappy plasma interface for my Linux system, but all you have to do is click New right up here, and then you just call it Zoom or whatever you want to call it at this point. I don't care. It's all up to you. Make sure you set a folder where you're going to store this. Make sure it's Windows 10 64-bit. Hit Next, and give it an amount of memory. Usually I'd give it like 4 gigs, but 2 gigs will work just fine. I would give it 4 gigs, just give it 4,000. It's like 4098 if you really wanted to get all technical with it, but 4,000 is fine. Create a new hard drive space, go Next, dynamically allocated, and all you have to do is make sure once you've created all this, you want to hit Start, and it should actually give you this prompt where it says Select Startup Disk. All you have to do is click on this option, and you can find your Windows 10 ISO, which should be on my desktop real quick if I can just find it for you. But yeah, right here, Windows 10 1909 English 64. Hit Choose, you want to go hit Start, and finally, as long as it's running, you'll notice, hey, here's VirtualBox. It's fired up a Windows virtual machine. Now you want to go through with installing it like you normally would. It's not really that difficult. Just hit Next, Install Now, call it a day. And once you're inside Windows 10, you can then use Zoom like you normally would on a real computer. So simply pass your webcam, pass your microphone through these bottom settings real quick. It should be something you can figure out. Now, usually in VirtualBox here, if you go to Devices, you go to Webcam, you can actually select the webcam. It'll detect it for you. So if you want to pass whichever one you want, like for instance, I have 2 webcams for whatever reason, I'm just going to click one, pass through a webcam. It'll actually light up just to let you know that it's connected and whatnot. Then all you have to do is go to Devices, and you can go to Audio and just also pass through your audio input. And this should just use your input anyway. So whatever microphone you have plugged in, whether that's built into your laptop or it's like a secondary, microphone like I have over here, for instance, it'll just pass that along. And you can use that to run your Zoom client call. And once you're done, just kill the VM. That's all you have to do. If you're really paranoid and you need to use a Zoom app, then this is probably the best compromise you can make without worrying about your security in any case. Now, that's just a Windows explanation of it, and I would probably keep it to that. Even if you're on a Mac, you can still virtualize Windows and call it a day, and it's pretty much the same thing. In fact, I think because Zoom doesn't need to install on there, it might actually be a safer alternative. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, quick little update about having your cake and eating it too. All right, you do not need to just subject your host operating system to this. You know, when I bring up virtual machines, it's not because of paranoia. I like to compartmentalize my applications. If you realize that you're installing shady software or you don't trust the software entirely, virtual machines are a great option for you to use that software and not have to worry too much about it. There is elements of VM busting code that can be out there, like there's viruses that can bust through a virtual machine. But do not think it's as common as you may believe it. For now, those viruses are few and far between, and to be honest with you, a lot of these services like VirtualBox or VMware or Parallels will actually have dedicated teams working to snuffing this out as much as you can. So kind of rest assured that you're getting a much more safer experience doing this than not. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, Zoom's getting banned, but if you're forced to use it, follow this guide and you should have a pretty pain-free experience through it all. And honestly, I know people are going to mention it in the comment section below, but if your teachers think, they're going to make you do a test and lock your computer out, you can also virtualize an operating system, do your test in there, and you know the rest. I know you're going to Google answers on another page anyways, but yeah, that's also possible too, right? I mean, fuck. I knew somebody was going to put that in the comment section. I might as well just tell you that to begin with. Like, yes, you can in fact beat the system. Now, whether that's morally up to you is all you, baby. That being said, this is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This is how to use Zoom the right way. I am out.